Hello, everybody. It's episode 5 of the NyteTime podcast. I am your host, your trip advisor, your tour guide, Matt Higgins. I am in Des Moines right now, just walking out of a med check with my personal physician, along with a diabetes checkup. I am down to 330 in weight. My highest was 386. So I'm down, 53 pounds? My A1C was through the roof when I first started. Now we are down to 5.4. My blood pressure used to be in the hypertension range, now down to perfect according to my doctor. I've never bothered to learn the numbers, the systolic and diastolic, and I don't know what they mean. Doesn't matter to me. I just ask them if it's good or bad whenever they test it. And we're right where we're supposed to be. I'm off of my nightly Tresiba insulin, and I am taking Ozempic once a week, which I will sing praises about. It has had a huge effect on my appetite, and it's also helped me lose weight, obviously. I was going to the gym about 4 nights a week, doing 5K on the treadmill, which it takes me about an hour and a half to do 5K at a 2 speed, but it's exercise. So that's also helped. I haven't been back to the gym since COVID hit me. I'd say I'm just about completely over all the symptoms. So this coming Monday, I'm going to hit the gym again and get back into it. Never seen 330. I haven't seen 330 in a long time. So each time I lose, 10 pounds, it feels like a milestone. I cannot wait to get back down under 300. It will be huge for me. No pun intended. So that's an update on me, in case anybody gives a shit. You don't have to, obviously. I hope everybody else is doing well, despite the fact that the world around us is fucking going insane. Every day in the news, it's nothing but murders and suicides and accidental shootings, mass shootings. Fuck. I have so many articles I have saved up in with links in my text to myself or emails to myself that I want to go over. And I think what's going to happen is I'm going to start putting out a shitload of mini videos on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, maybe, addressing these issues individually, so that you get bite-sized portions of them and you don't have to listen to me for an hour ramble on about some of the important stuff. If I stay laser focused on one issue per video, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to give you a better quality and a better opinion and a better take on the subject at hand. So these podcast videos that I record once a week will be a little more just, how do I want to say it? Shoot from the hip, whatever's on my mind at the moment. I'm still not at home doing it at my new station where I have my laptop and everything set up, because I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck to get audio and video to work together properly with the equipment I have. I have a separate microphone, a separate dual webcam, got a laptop, I've got 2 tablets, got a TV all set up there, but it's I'm trying to because my computer is slow and not very expensive, which means the hard drive isn't great. The audio and the video do not match up whenever I record on the laptop. And that's where I want to do the podcast, is from the same spot in my apartment every week. So I've been dicking with different ways to do it, different programs, different apps. Last night I was up till 3 a.m. and finally I just got so fucking frustrated that I quit. I mean, I used to have serious anger management issues, and I have pretty much got that under control as far as my reactions. But man, I felt some old school brimstone bubbling up at my inability to get this simple task done, which is figuring out how to make a podcast video on a goddamn laptop, which should be the easiest thing in the world to do. Everybody fucking does it. So, but I'll be putting back money here and there to get some better equipment. I definitely want to get myself a regular computer, get a tower, something that's got a lot of speed and capability, and just use the laptop for when I'm on the road at somebody's house. I also, at some point, I'm going to try and get some guests in. I think I've talked about that before. Maybe talk to some people, get their opinions on things. I definitely want to talk to my daughter. She's pretty brilliant. I got lucky when I raised her. She's a very smart, independent young 19-year-old with some pretty good ideas. My girlfriend, one of my best friends from my old job. His name's Matt. Definitely want to talk to him. He's got some very unique views on the world. So in the meantime, I'm still recording on the phone, and when I'm driving, I do a lot of my thinking while I'm driving, so I'm just going to do it for now like this until I get my shit together at home. So bear with me. I'm in Des Moines currently, on my way back to Ankeny. There have been some shady fucking articles out about things going on. We're in Iowa. We're in the middle of the country, in the middle of nowhere. The only thing Des Moines has to offer is bars and clubs, or restaurants with bars. But it's like a bar on every other fucking block in this town. Ankeny is still growing, but there's not a whole lot to do up there. I think they still have their curfew, so nothing. I really miss pre-pandemic having shit open 24 hours a day, because I still am on night shift hours a lot. I mean, that's where I spent most of my working life, was doing off shifts. And I always had trouble sleeping as a kid, for various reasons. So nights have never been great for me to try and sleep. I don't even know where I was going with that. Anyway, oh yeah, so there's, I'm up at 2 a.m. and I want to run to the store for something, or I want to go grab fast food because I haven't eaten all day, because the Ozempic has put off my appetite for so long that I'm starting to get a headache, and I just want to go grab some fucking unhealthy food as a treat. I can't do it. You can't do anything in Ankeny. Des Moines is not much better. Fucking like the fast food restaurants, some of them, they say they're open online, and you go there and they've closed. They've just closed. They've closed out of the fucking blue. Not permanently, but like it's they can't staff the places. Long John Silver's. Every time I try to go there, they're closed. Either the dining room's closed or they're just closed. They like hours before they're supposed to. Many hours. And then you say you got a taste. I wanted some fucking Long John, so I drive to the one in West Des Moines. It says it's open. They're fucking closed well before their closing time listed. Hardee's, the one up here in Ankeny changed its hours from like 6 to 3 out of the blue because I assume they just can't staff it or they're not getting enough traffic in there one way or another. Burger King, it's open when it wants to be. They're closing a lot of their locations, but to be fair, they're probably not getting as much traffic as they used to because their quality sucks. It's just gone downhill, along with the service, I might add. You talk about people that don't give any fucks. Those are people that work at Burger King. Wow. I don't know what it is about that particular fast food franchise, but they've usually been the worst as far as customer service goes. Why are you in the left lane when you want to fucking turn right? You know, I hate fucking people in general because they're stupid. But nowhere else than on the road does it present itself more blatantly. I had to take fucking a driver's ed. I had to study and take a test to be able to get my license. I don't know if they do that anymore. Do they even do that? Because they don't drive like it. Nobody knows you can fucking turn left on a red light if it's from a one-way to a one-way. Nobody understands dual turning lanes, so if there's 2 lanes turning left or turning right, there's 2 cars that are going to be turning at the same time, which means stay in your own fucking lane. If you want to be in the right-hand lane after you turn, then get into the far right-hand turning lane. Don't get in the left side of the right turning lane. I hate people that do that. They'll go out of their way to get out of the lane they need to be in to end up in the lane that they want to be in, and then have to fucking jerk in front of you and cut you off because they really wanted to be where you were, which is where they were in the first place before they got out of that lane, because they don't understand how fucking dual turning lanes work. I can't tell you how many times I've almost been run off the fucking road because I'm staying in my lane turning and I'm in the outside turning lane. They're in the inside turning lane, but they want to be on the outside turning lane. Well, fuck you. You should have been where you wanted to be in the beginning. No, they just fucking turn right into me. I have to swerve off the road. When Jade was still in school, I almost got ran off a goddamn bridge up here in Ankeny because some fucking CenturyLink guy was on his phone not paying attention. I had to slam on the brakes and swerve, and we were, I don't know, a couple of feet from that fucking drop-off on the industrial exit, turning onto Ore Labor. Son of a bitch. Anyway, been a lot of bad things happening in the news. Rarely anything good. I understand good news doesn't get the eyeballs that bad news does, but fuck, there's a lot of people dying from guns. I know that's a tough, touchy subject for everybody, but fucking mass shootings, mass murders, suicides, accidental shootings. I don't know how many kids we've already lost this year. Toddlers finding handguns and shooting themselves in the head, killing themselves. Fuck me. Guys shooting people over stupid shit, gang fucking violence in Iowa. We just had a kid show up at an at-risk youth education facility I think he's 18 years old, showed up and and murdered 2 fucking students because of rival gang shit. Like, really? At 18, you decided that you had no chance in life and you were just going to fucking pull the pin on that grenade and just murder people in broad daylight over gang shit? It's not as bad as you think. Yeah, the world can be a horrible place, but don't give up. Especially when it comes to that kind of bullshit. I cannot believe gangs are still a thing, honestly. At some point you would think as a collective we would become smart enough to understand that it's not, we need to stop with the us against us horse shit. Guys versus girls, right versus left, liberals versus conservatives, Democrat versus Republican, straights against the gays, blacks against white. Do you know who doesn't profit off of that? Us. Who does profit off of that? Rich people and the government. We should all gang up together and fight the establishment. Start forcing these motherfuckers that we send to represent us in Congress to actually do their jobs. And if they don't, we fucking fire them. The reason they work so hard to split us up is because they know the power we possess if we were to work together and realize that, hey, we do have more in common than we want to admit, but we're so worried about fucking being on a winning team that we don't think straight. We don't use logic. Tribalism is the word they're using nowadays. And yeah, that's basically it. It's tribalism. And the media is controlled also by both sides. So don't just think it's this mainstream media. It's not controlled by Democrats or Republicans. It's controlled by the rich. And then they just play with their pieces, which are Republican and Democrat candidates, to fuck the rest of us over. And life is so miserable for some people that they can't stop and take time to actually think about what's going on. And government and rich people want to keep it that way, because if we ever had the time, the luxury of time and energy to think about how badly we're being bent over the table, we might actually think, well, fuck, maybe I should stop fighting my neighbor, and we should and he and I should get together and start fighting the fucking thing that's really screwing us up, which is the autocracy. Is that what it is? Rich people running everything? But in order to do that, we would also have to accept the fact that we need a revamp on our government and constitution. Now, I don't say that lightly, because I understand the importance and the precedent that our Constitution set, but it was written over 200 years ago. We have made such leaps and bounds in technology and society and self-awareness that a lot of it doesn't properly apply to the current times. It needs to be updated. It actually needs to be rewritten. There are still basic core tenets you can keep, but they need to be adjusted. The Second Amendment is the perfect example. Not everybody needs a goddamn gun. We're not trying to protect ourselves from our government anymore. We don't need to do that. That's their whole argument. If we give up our guns, the government's going to come for us. The government isn't coming for you. They already have you. If you're a citizen and you live here, they already have you. You are part of the system. They own you. When you say you're afraid they're going to come for you, what do you think they're going to do to you that they aren't already doing now? What do you think's going to happen? Especially all you fucking rednecks and hillbillies. What do you think you have that they want? If you don't have guns to protect yourself, the government's going to take control. The government is already in control. I don't understand what you're afraid of. You've got to, and I ask this sincerely, you explain it to me. What are you truly afraid of? Because if the government wanted to come for you, it doesn't matter how many guns you have, they will come for you and get you if that's what they want. You are vastly outnumbered and outarmed. So the fact that they take 35% of your taxes anyways, or of your paycheck for taxes, for a system that doesn't fucking work for you, I don't know what else you're afraid of. So the Second Amendment needs to be rewritten, and it needs to be updated to reflect the fact that weapons of mass destruction are available to the general public. And when I say mass destruction, that encompasses mass shootings, mass murders. Okay, nobody needs a fucking assault rifle. If you are a hunter who's worth his salt at all, you shouldn't need an assault rifle to hunt. So you take away the hunting use and the protection use against your government, you don't have anything else. There isn't another country that's going to come and invade us on the ground. It's just not going to happen. There's so many better ways to attack us than ground troops. So you don't have to worry about that. So ban assault rifles. Collect them, melt them down, and fucking get rid of them. If you are not part of SWAT or the military, you do not need a murder machine, because that's what an assault rifle is. It's designed to kill. You want to protect your home? That's fine. Get yourself a shotgun, maybe a pistol. You want to hunt? You use long guns, bows and arrows. Nothing wrong with that. But assault rifles need to go. So, the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Technically, to me, the wording doesn't say anything about banning some weapons. You're still allowed to own weapons. You're still allowed to bear arms. You just can't bear certain ones. That's the way the Second Amendment should have been interpreted to begin with. But if we have to fucking spell it out in crayon for people, fine. Then let's rewrite it and update it for the current times. And I know that hurts a lot of people's feelings. There was a time where I didn't believe in guns. I didn't have any. And then I went through my mental breakdown. And a lot of weird shit happened to me. And I started to think a little bit differently, and I went out and bought guns. I got a license to conceal and carry before they just fucking wrote that off and said, nah, you don't need to train or have a background check or do any of that shit. Just, yeah, go ahead and carry wherever you want. I went through the license process, and which, side note, is also scary because I do have, and still do, have mental issues. And I'm on some fairly strong drugs, Xanax and Seroquel and Effexor, just to keep me from fucking hurting myself or other people. But I was still able to get licensed and get guns. So I don't know if the system's working or not. But I went out and I bought some handguns. And I bought a couple shotguns. And they're fun to go fire at the firing range. I'm not going to lie, they're fun. But I also understand over time, it occurred to me that it wasn't necessary to have them. So I sold most of them off. I had 2 Smith & Wesson 45s, semi-auto handguns. I had a sweet H&K 9mm LAM, and God, that thing was such a treat to shoot off. But I sold those. I kept my 22 Smith & Wesson handgun just for self-defense purposes, and I kept my 2 shotguns. I got a side-by-side double barrel breech load. Obviously, if it's a double barrel, it's a breech load. And I've got my Remington pump action, just in case the zombies do come. But the shotguns are obviously for self-defense, and I don't do any hunting because I don't believe in hunting. That doesn't mean I don't think hunting is a thing, or that people shouldn't do it. I just can't bring myself to kill an innocent animal. Yes, I know I eat meat. Innocent animals are killed every day. That's the cognitive dissonance that I work with. I can't go out and do it myself. Now, if I had to, I could, but I wouldn't like it. Some people get off on that, which I think is weird, but once again, as long as you go out and hunt and you consume the animals that you are hunting, I think that's cool. If you're hunting for trophies, I think that's horse shit. That I definitely think is horse shit. If you're not going to eat the animal and use the byproduct of its death, its carcass, then I think you are committing an affront to Mother Nature. That's just me personally. Doesn't mean I'm right or wrong, but that's how I feel about that. So if you want to hunt, fine. Let's be responsible about it. You know, use your long guns, bows and arrows, whatever. And let's rewrite the Second Amendment to reflect that. A constitutional amendment. Free speech. First Amendment. That probably needs to be rewritten with some current language. Because people use it out of context every day. Every time they bring up the First Amendment, they don't understand what they're talking about. Because it was written to protect us from the government. It was written to protect us as citizens from being kicked out of the country or being punished for dissenting, for speaking against the government. That's all it was. It had nothing to do with anything else. The way people use it nowadays is they think they should, because it says freedom of speech, that's what it means. That it applies everywhere and it has no responsibilities attached to it. Because we're stupid. America, as I've said before, the idea of America is much more appealing than the reality of it. And Americans are the cause of its actuality, its reality being so shitty. Because Americans are stupid. We're egotistical, we're arrogant, we're brash, we don't have humility, and it shows. The rest of the country, the rest of the world knows that. So we fuck everything up. We fucked up the country. We fucked up the environment. We've fucked up the government because we keep sending people there that don't give a shit, and we can't even comprehend or understand our own Constitution as citizens. Which, by the way, if you were born here, it was an accident of birth. So A, there shouldn't be any pride involved in being an American if you were born here. B, just because you're born here, it doesn't mean you're better than anybody else. Okay? You may have been born into better circumstances, but that's all that happened. You didn't earn it. Okay? So when you say we in conjunction with American success and American achievements, you really don't know what you're talking about. You didn't earn shit. We didn't do anything. The last time we, as America, did anything was back in the big wars. And even then, we weren't fighting. It still wasn't a we thing. Our military did the work. Our government sent them to do the work. The last time we as a country, as American citizens, actually fought for our own freedoms was during the Revolution. We fought for our rights then, we as a country. And when I say we, I don't take any pride or self-gratification in that, because I wasn't there. Neither were any of you who are listening to this or might listen to it. All those people are dead because it happened over 200 fucking years ago. Any other wars where we went off to fight somebody else in their country, that we weren't fighting for our freedoms. Our freedoms are secure right here. We're not protecting our freedoms by sending our military to die in other countries, in other wars. When we get attacked directly, like we did in Pearl Harbor, that was an attack on us. That one time, and I don't remember why Japan decided to pull that move. I can't remember. But I remember it happened, and I remember we went over there and stomped the shit out of them for it, which they rightly deserved. They fought. You could say we fought for our freedom then, because we were directly attacked. But beyond that, any of the other wars or engagements we've been in, we're not fighting for our freedoms. We're fighting for oil. We're fighting for resources. Yeah, you can lie to the military. You can lie to the kids that sign up and say, yeah, we're protecting our freedoms abroad. No. That's horseshit. And I support our troops. I don't support the military in general because it's run by the government, and the government's fucking corrupt. I don't want us to send people to other countries to die for the resources that the rich people own here. I would rather we have a very large scale back of our military abroad and let things play out. You want to protect the country? Protect the borders. Do that here. Have small stations worldwide, small units. Have your embassies protect them. Have a small military presence. And get out of fucking people's way. We're not the world's police. This empire has had a pretty good run. This America democracy thing, it's starting to fall apart, and unless major changes are made, it's going to end. Probably not in my lifetime, but close. Definitely in my daughter's lifetime, there will be some major shifts in how things are run and how things happen. And none of them will be good, because I have little faith that we can turn it around. The only way to turn it around is for us to stop bitching and moaning at each other and fighting over stupid shit, and work as a whole to fix the problems. We're never going to get to Star Trek society because we're too busy pissing on each other, worrying about abortion, worrying about gays and trans people and pronouns and all this other stupid shit. That's not something we should be arguing about. It's something that should just be, hey, abortion. If you aren't the one with the baby inside of you, you don't have a say in it. between her and her doctor. Nobody makes your kids gay. Nobody makes them trans. You can't teach them to be gay. It's not a fucking disease that you can catch by just being around them. They're not targeting your children to be gay. You know, you're fighting over shit that A, isn't real, and B, is just stupid. The black and white thing, we should have been done with that a long time ago. Minorities have proven themselves to be just as smart, athletic, conscientious, loving, kind as their white counterparts. If anything, white people are worse than minorities because we have this arrogance that we're born with and taught from an early age, that we're the greatest country in the world and we're the greatest people in the world. No, we're not. No, we're not. We might have it better than some, but it doesn't mean that we're not fucked up. We are fucked up. And we don't deserve a lot of the freedoms we do have because we abuse them and we don't want to take responsibility for our actions. Which goes back to what I was saying about the First Amendment. Just because freedom of speech exists doesn't mean you get to say shit and get away with it without repercussions. If I work for a company and on off hours I go out and say something horrific like all the Jews must die, and that gets back to my company, I would fully expect them to fire me because as an employee, I represent that company on the clock or off the clock. Because people can look at that and say, well, hey, are these the kind of people you employ? Are you proud of that? Are you proud to employ somebody who thinks all the Jews should die? Yeah, I would, as a company, I wouldn't want that headache. So yeah, I'm going to fire. I would expect to get fired. I would be disappointed if I wasn't fired because then I know I was working for somebody with no balls. And no intelligence. No long-term view. You can't threaten people. You can't say wildly, threatening, dangerous shit and just expect to get away with it. You can't be racist. Stop being racist. Why is racism still a fucking thing? Why? Because we won't fucking address it properly. We don't want to go in and burn it out. It blows me away. I think it was Morgan Freeman. I saw an interview. Somebody asked him, how do we stop racism? I think was the question. He said, stop talking about it. What? I don't get that response at all. Stop talking about it. Ignore it. Pretend it isn't there. You think racism exists because it's getting publicity? Racism doesn't exist because of publicity or the media. It exists because it's taught. It's ingrained in certain people. It's in the system. So just to ignore it, to say that, I thought that was a stupid fucking response. And maybe that's because I have a black person's perspective, but just stop talking about it, ignore it. That doesn't seem to be the answer to me. I do know that we need to stop sensationalizing the people that are racist. We need to stop. There needs to be some kind of litmus test. I hate to bring up Donald Trump because it's so been done by everybody, but he is the perfect example of how far we have fallen as a society. That motherfucker, he is a racist. He's a misogynist. He's an arrogant piece of shit con man, fictional fucking character. But he managed to get elected president of the greatest country in the world. Well, that tells you how great we are, that the most ill-equipped, ill-mannered, ill-tempered, illogical, most unqualified candidate ever to run for that position won the election. And I don't think the election was stolen. I think it was manipulated. I think our foreign adversaries had something to do with it, and with social media and political ads and shit. But it wasn't stolen. He earned it. He got it. You know why he got it? You know why that type of individual got it? Because the country is full of people like that. Donald Trump being elected should have been the canary in the tunnel that said, hey, this country has reached its bottom. It doesn't get worse than Donald Trump. We can play semantics and sidestep and say, well, we can make a bunch of lateral moves, but Donald Trump, there can't be anybody worse than Donald Trump. If somebody comes along who's worse than him, and to be worse than him, you've got to be really fucking evil. I don't think we're going to get a worse person than him as president. We may get some guys that want to, try, make a run for their, for the money, but no, he was the worst. Biden is bad in a different way. The only reason Biden got elected is because of Trump. People saw 4 years of Trump. Enough people saw 4 years of Trump and said, okay, fuck that. We better not let that happen again. You could have ran a corpse against Donald Trump. They practically did run a corpse against Donald Trump. We didn't vote for Biden. We voted against Trump. And that's what needs to be understood. Okay? I know Biden's fucking dementia-ridden and old, and his cognitive abilities are just tanked. I still don't think he's a bad guy. I think there was a time when he was smart and capable, but not anymore. Because he's old. Not because he's a bad person, because he's old. Does he have all the right views? Did he have all the right views when he was young and still able to think clearly? No, he didn't have all the best views or the right ones. No candidate ever does. But they were far better than Trump's. So, anyway. I know I was going off on a rant there. I had to stop and pick up some meds. Anyway, so enough about Donald Trump. Point is, the overall arching theme I was trying to get to was in order to fix what's wrong with America, we got to change things. We got to update the Constitution. We got to admit that, hey, we had a good run with it, but if we want to do anything more, become something more, everything needs to adapt and evolve, and that includes our Constitution. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't that what amendment means? We had to make changes to the original document because it wasn't perfect. We had to add things because of stuff they didn't think about. The Constitution can be changed. It's okay. It's okay to update and adapt and overcome. We don't need to fucking die on that hill that, oh my God, it was our first document, so it's perfect. It's not perfect. I think even in the words it said, in order to form a more perfect union. I think it was a little arrogant to word it that way, to be honest. It should have just said, in order to make things better, this is what we need to do, and rules subject to change. I think that sounds pretty reasonable to me. Change and compromise. Yes, we're going to have our arguments. We're not going to get along on everything, but let's stop as a society arguing about stupid shit and quit getting sidetracked and misdirected. Anyway, back to whatever train of thought I had about all the bad stuff happening here in Iowa. Yeah, and there's bad stuff happening all over the country. I mean, fuck, we're not even out of January. We've had how many mass shootings? So, I think, and the fact that it's bleeding into the Midwest more and more should tell everybody that, hey, we're gonna get to a point where we can't come back from. So we need to get together and stop killing each other and stop making it easy to kill each other and start banding together. Do I have all the answers? No, I don't. I have some suggestions that I think need to be, addressed and given some thought. Like I said, rewriting some of the Constitution would help. Maybe just some basic changes in thinking. You still got people killing fucking Asians and beating them up because COVID came from China. Like, okay, if you need somebody to blame, and you don't want to blame us, or just Mother Nature or chance, fine, you want to blame China, but not every Asian is from China, first of all. And second of all, any Asian you run across who happens to be from China, still, they probably weren't involved in creating the virus. So why the fuck are you attacking Asians just because COVID came from China? Why can't I use that logic and say, well, I was robbed by a white guy, so every white guy I run across, I should just beat the shit out of because white people are bad? Why? That's exactly the logic. You're telling me that because they're Asian, well, they must have been involved in China and the COVID thing. I mean, how fucking dumb do you have to be? This is what I'm saying. We are dumb. We don't deserve the freedoms and the rights we have. We're too stupid to have them. And it shows in the people that we elected to government. And the fact that, that people just random acts of violence that are happening in places that nobody thought would happen. Well, I never thought it could happen here. Really? You didn't see it coming? How many times can you hear? I didn't think it would happen. I didn't think it could happen here. Before you realize it can happen anywhere because stupid people are everywhere. Fucking A. Gays are not the enemy. Minorities are not the enemy. We are our own worst enemies. Okay? Until we figure that out and accept it and work together to fix this shit, we will continue on this decline and path to just total destruction and meltdown of our country. And we will deserve it. We deserve whatever happens to us. I will say that. Whatever happens, we deserve it. because we weren't smart enough to figure it out ahead of time or to do anything about it. It's like, we ignore issues like we ignore the issue of our failing government, our failing politicians, and our failing ability to understand that we do have a direct impact on climate change, and because we just, I don't know, maybe we are incapable. Maybe we aren't capable of becoming that which we idealize. I don't know. But it's sad to think that that's the case. I mean, there's still a small part of me that hopes that we'll pull it out of our ass at the end. But we really got to stop fucking waiting until the last second to make an intelligent decision and then act on it. And if you're listening to this and you're a gun owner, don't leave your fucking guns laying around for your toddlers to pick up and play with. I think if I hear one more story about a toddler finding a gun and blowing his own head off, I think I might actually cry. I know I'm disheartened and I feel helpless about it because all I can do is give the PSA, hey, lock your guns up. If you're in a position where you've got to have your guns ready at all times, you need to reevaluate your situation. But that's just me. I've rambled on enough. Once again, my social media will be in the description, all my links and addresses. This has been the Nighttime Podcast, NYTE, Not Your Typical Energy. I am Matt Higgins. I am signing off. I hope you guys have a good week, and hopefully next time the podcast will be in my apartment with some information in front of me so I don't keep wandering off in my rants. Later.